This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop. Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Just so you guys all know, everyone looks fantastic.
Yes.
But I have the best Secret Santa in the whole wide world. So thank you to my Secret Santa.
How do you know?
My gifts.
She worked it out.
Oh, okay. You cheated.
Hashtag Justine, thank you. All right, there's so many headlines today about the final 3 episodes of the Harry and Meghan docuseries on Netflix, and we're finally hearing Harry talk about what he says his family did that led to their exit. We've all been waiting for it. Here's some of it. Take a look.
Trying to have my brother scream and shout at me, and my father say things that just simply weren't true, and my grandmother, quietly sit there and sort of take it all in. The saddest part of it was this wedge created between myself and my brother, so that he's now on the institution side.
The heir and the spare. Harry also spoke about William breaking a pact they made not to let their offices trade negative press stories about each other. We also saw this moment when Harry received a text from his brother that he shows to Meghan following their explosive Oprah interview, although we don't learn what the text
Nor have we
says.
seen it, so it could have been anything really, couldn't it?
Ooh, other major revelations. It was Harry's decision not to leave, not Meghan's, and that the rift really began when the press focused its attention on Meghan specifically, upstaging the other royals. So, what do we think of these details? Was this the bombshell docuseries we had been promised? Our resident Brit is in action here. What do we think?
I am here. Let's do it.
Cheerio, darling.
Al's ready.
Al is ready. Tell us, Steph, was this the thing?
Okay, what was I waiting for? I was waiting for specific names in the royal family to be called out on the accounts of racism. Did that happen? No, it didn't. Did we see these alleged texts? No, we didn't. Have we had multiple accounts of their truths or their recollections of the truths being rectified and brought to light that were completely insincere? Yes, we have, including Meghan's lovely statement. The Archbishop of Canterbury married them 3 days before their wedding, which is not only a lie, but he would have been incarcerated if he had. Completely false.
Wow. So you
completely false.
You don't really buy this part of the document.
I buy elements of it, absolutely. Like, yes, they should have left. They were very unhappy. That's fine. I do think they upstaged the royals. I think for a period of time, Meghan and Harry were like the number one. Everyone was on their side, and I can definitely see why that would have caused some ruffled feathers with the people that are next in line to the throne.
Sure.
Of course, I see that totally. But I think it's like a very bland, boring biopic, or it's basically made them the Kardashians of the royal family, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. Yes, it's had over 81 million viewers, but it's been rated at less than 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience scores are under 12%. It's pretty shameful.
Wow. And the way she said
the receipts.
She said tomatoes.
The amount of receipts I have on these allegations and lies are shocking to me.
So what else? What do you buy any of the racism that they're claiming?
Yeah, it's in black and white with the press. I'm not denying that, and I've said many times that needs to be held accountable for. Those journalists and papers need to be taken to court, lose their jobs, absolutely. Where's this person in the royal family? Why have you not named them? So you're happy to trash your brother, you're happy to trash your king and say that your grandma did nothing, but who was the person that questioned the colour of your child? Who is it? You've seemed to throw everyone else under the bus. Who was it?
What do you think?
Who's also the...
When I look at the story, I mean, obviously there's the things that flash, the race element to it. What I really saw when I looked at this is I looked at a man that felt like he had no country. Like he felt like his brother took the media side, the same media that he attaches to his mother's death.
His brother took his birthright, hundreds of years of tradition and history. He's due to be king. Right. Harry was the one who stepped away, not Will. Harry chose Meghan, he chose another life. That's fine. There's no problem with that. But of course his brother's going to yell and scream and shout. Of course. I mean, they're regular human beings like us, but the stakes on this are so high. When you are next in line to be king and your brother is throwing serious allegations with little to no proof and receipts of the things that they're saying, of course he's going to scream and shout. And guess what? That pact of not selling stories has gone right out the window, and it would for me too.
I get it. I just think it's deeper than that. I think that he was looking at his brothers like, we we both watched our mother be basically killed by this same paparazzi that you're now leaking stories
Right,
to.
I think that's...
And I feel like that's where it stops. Like, no tradition, no anything. Just as an outsider, when you feel like your family took the person that killed your mom's side, that's deeper than any kind of headlines. That's deeper than your wife. That's just like, I cannot believe you're being... That's how I see that he perceived it.
Let me get to the next topic. There's so many there because there's some intense moments in this series, including the impact all these struggles on Meghan's mental and physical health had. Here's what Meghan and her mom and Harry said about that. Take a look.
All of this will stop if I'm not here.
I remember her telling me that she had wanted to take her own life. That's not an easy one for a mom to hear.
I didn't deal with it particularly well. I dealt with it as institutional Harry as opposed to husband Harry. And looking back on it now, I hate myself for it.
Wow. In another portion, Harry reveals his belief that Meghan suffered a miscarriage due to the tabloid coverage, specifically their lawsuit against the Daily Mail, which they ended up winning. Here's what Meghan had to say about the negative tabloid coverage and its impact on her.
You are making people want to kill me. It's not just a tabloid. It's not just some story. You are making me scared. Right? And like that night, to be up and down in the middle of the night, looking down my hallway, like, are we safe? Are the doors locked? Is security on? Is everything? That's real. Are my babies safe? And you've created it for what? Because you're bored or because it sells your papers?
Lindsay, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I was literally not watching this after episode 3 because I'm into Christmas energy and good vibes. And this is just way too heavy for me going into the end of the year. But even watching that, that's exactly why I didn't want to watch it, because there's so much that comes with this. And even though Stephanie made some great points about the institution and why Harry specifically is fighting with his brother, when you have this woman whose mom is coming on camera and saying that she was thinking about suicide, and then when you talk about specifically the miscarriage piece and the fact that there are numbers that show how much stress causes miscarriage, and she was being stressed out actively and not protected actively by certain people, that is bothersome to me, especially as a new mom.
I totally
That's just disgusting to me. And so, you know, somebody needs to, I think that what you're asking for is just name the people so we can get them out of the way versus like.
And I think
just,
there's no excuse for this. I mean,
we
like,
wanna know
this is
who was
awful.
Right, and she got the paper to, you know, cease and desist on their headlines, but the damage is already done. And so who else was in cahoots with them to create this content?
Obviously, her thinking of taking her own life this is completely different now. This is something that is inexcusable, and she needed help. And I can't even imagine that feeling and what her and Harry were going through. And I can completely understand. Al and I were talking about it the other day, the PTSD that Harry has from his mother and what happened. And could this possibly happen to my wife? Which is why I've said numerous times they should have left, and it's inexcusable. And again, we're bringing this back to the papers. And like she said, and this is true, we've seen it with Kanye West when he's given very racist comments many, many times. When someone of power or a newspaper that goes out to millions of people comes out with these kinds of statements, it's so dangerous, and anything can happen.
Very reckless.
So this is what my point is with the press. They need to be held accountable. And I do think there are so many elements to this. It's not just black and white. This is a multicolored jigsaw puzzle that's all like mixed up, and we need to dissect every single bit because there are so many elements, and it's not so simple just to blame it on one person.
I appreciate that nuance in that, and we have been speaking just a lot, guys, about suicide in the past couple days. We want to put this hotline up just so you can see that. If you're feeling uncomfortable, I want you to reach out, and if you know someone that might be uncomfortable, send this as a screenshot. We'll be right back.
It's happy holiday season time.
From our DBL family to yours, we want to wish you
a happy holiday season.
a happy holiday season.
I feel you. Someone said, Brandon Allen wrote in, I'm mixed, meaning race, I assume. So racism to me is like, I may be biased towards social norms, but not hateful. Oh, I see. And then everyone says, this Twitch death, damn, this makes me so sad. You can't not compare when you hear that, right? What are you guys thinking?
Well, I want to go back to earlier because when it was a lighter topic about Harry not getting along with his brother, I kind of was letting you guys talk, but I thought my friends and I were in a group chat, and I was like, oh my God, I believe Meghan's story, like blindly, this is great. And she was like, look how you look on this FaceTime group chat right now. I had on like, my hair was a mess, no makeup. She's like, Meghan has on the brand she sponsors, literally a Hermes blanket behind her. She's like, so you have to know a little bit of this is organized. Like the way you look right now is the way that your documentary would look if you were being honest about how you feel this Tuesday after work. And Meghan is just very organized. So is Harry. Everything looks so nice and
Polished.
well done, polished.
It's very polished.
And she's even wearing some of the brands, according to my friends who's in PR, that she works with. So like she has on a brand that pays her to. So some of these things kind of just like, you know.
Is that out of the norm?
Yeah, I feel like anybody would do that.
I mean, if you know, LeBron or Michael Jordan's wearing an Air Force, not Air Force, but
Air Jordan?
Jordans, would that be weird?
No, I don't think so. But it's just like that fact that maybe it didn't happen that day after they left the.
I think it's very
or the week after they
orchestrated.
left. Maybe they knew they were doing a documentary and recorded it because of that, as opposed to me holding up my phone and like I just happen to have this content. Check it out.
Yeah,
I'm adding it to my documentary.
It's just you know.
People say she looks performative. It's very like did it up. But I think in her videos from early on, she was always like, she was a nerd and a goody two-shoe. And to be honest, I was a little like that. And I was a little annoying.
Telling real stories, I always feel like you know how to act. So I always don't know what to do with that whenever I see documentaries with actors.
That's a fair point. Welcome back to DBL. We are going to learn some more details right now surrounding the sudden death of Stephen Twitch Boss, which hit us all really hard here in the studio. The Los Angeles medical examiner confirmed he did die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. TMZ is reporting that he left his house on Monday morning and checked into a nearby hotel. His wife, Allison, reported him missing to police on Tuesday and said he wasn't returning any of her calls. She also said there was no argument or issue when he left the house, but shortly after she contacted 911, a call came in from 911, a different one from the hotel. Tributes are pouring in from stars close to the DJ and dancer. Jennifer Lopez, who worked with him on the show World of Dance, tweeted, "Twitch was such a light and a beautiful soul, shocked and deeply saddened. My heart breaks for Twitch, his wife and children." Just so you know, Twitch was a huge J-Lo fan. Channing Tatum, who starred with him in Magic Mike 2, posted this selfie of the two on Instagram, writing, "I love you. I'll see you again, my friend. Until then." Alicia Keys posted a video of Twitch and Allison dancing to her song and called him, quote, "a bright soul." And The Rock also sent his family love and light and said he's lost a lot of friends to the struggle and you'll never know what's happening between the ears. It's nice to hear from celebrities, but it's also, I thought, touching to see how much it touched regular people.
Yeah.
Something really was touched and sparked by this. Don't you think?
I think a lot of people can relate to this, and I want to hear everybody's thoughts. But you know, you always try and steer clear of the gun debate when you can. But this is something when we talk about guns that we never talk about. We always talk about a good guy with a gun or a bad guy with a gun, and those are the only parameters. But one of the main issues with having a gun is that you might use it on yourself. And it is a quick out. And a lot of times, even if you're going to try and do it by another means, it'll at least take a little bit longer to have somebody else get in there. But a gunshot is so immediate. And I think when somebody is experiencing the highs that he hit, you're going to hit those same lows almost lower than most people. And I think you have to hold space for the idea that if you do have a gun and you're an adult and you plan to go through this life for 70 years, there's going to be a day where it doesn't seem that crazy to use it on yourself. So
it's literally one of the saddest. It's one of the saddest stories. And like, I remember earlier this year, I think it was January the 29th or early February, when Chesley Chrisley, the correspondent from Extra, took her own life. And I just remember that moment as well. And it's sometimes the people with the biggest smiles, the happiest personalities that are performers, you know, they're the people that can put on the biggest smiles because you don't really know what's going on underneath. And it's just so sad. And just checking on everyone, especially this time of year, can be so hard for people. And it's just the saddest story. And I really feel for his wife and children.
Absolutely. This is very, very hard. And if you are feeling triggered by any of this, make sure you talk to someone, please. We will be right back.
On December 13th, President Joe Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law. It requires federal and state governments to recognize all marriages that were legally performed in any state. Some people, including those affiliated with churches, claimed because the law applied to government agencies that it would give the Internal Revenue Service the power to revoke the tax-exempt status of churches that refused to perform same-sex marriages. And a Verify viewer on TikTok asked us what the law actually does. So, let's verify. Does the Respect for Marriage Act give the IRS the ability to revoke the tax-exempt status for churches that oppose same-sex marriage? Our sources are the Respect for Marriage Act, a joint statement issued by some of the senators who passed it, the IRS, and Dale Carpenter, a constitutional law expert with Southern Methodist University. The RFMA explicitly says the law can't be used to deny or alter the tax-exempt status or tax treatment of an eligible person or entity. That language was added by a bipartisan group of senators who wanted to ensure that a church's tax-exempt status is unrelated to marriage. The law also specifies it only applies to those acting under the color of state law, which Carpenter says is a legal expression referring to the government or government officials, not private organizations like churches. So, no, the Respect for Marriage Act does not give the IRS the ability to revoke the tax-exempt status for churches that oppose same-sex marriage. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome to DBL. She's an award-winning multi-platinum recording artist who released one of the best-selling debuts of all time earlier. We spoke with Jewel, I know, about her newest project, the hashtag Not Alone Challenge. It was great. Take a look. Please welcome Jewel. Yeah!
Wow. Jewel, so good to talk to you today. Big fan, I think we all are. But Freewheelin' Woman is your first studio album in 7 years. How did you lay the groundwork for this, first of all? And are you most proud of one track over another? I'm nervous.
You know, the one you played, oh, it's so sweet. It's so nice to be with you guys. I took 7 years off. I'm a single mom, and I really wanted to focus on my son. That was actually a promise I made myself when I was 18, when I got discovered. I knew with my emotional background that God forbid someone like me become famous. That means, you know, it's like every movie you've seen about every celebrity. They end up in drug use and with psychotic breakdowns, and I didn't want that to happen. So I've always taken really big breaks in my career to make sure that my life is my best work of art, not just that my art is my art. But I love this album. It's the first album I've written from scratch, and the song you guys played a clip of is the first one I wrote, and I think it is my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I don't blame you. It was delicious. Beautiful. You brought up being a mom, and I think some people are not talking enough about is being a mom with a career, specifically a career in the music industry. Can you share your experience with our audience?
Yeah, I called this album Freewheeling Woman because I wanted it to represent who I am now. I'm a 48-year-old woman, and I'm actually at the height of my singing power. I believe I'm writing better than I've ever written. And for me as a young woman in this industry, I didn't see women enter motherhood and become mothers and talk about being mothers and watch us age and talk about the entire thing. And I actually mentor several musicians now, young mothers who are trying to figure out how to tour with babies. How do you have your child in school and be a musician? It's obviously a niche market, but it's just particular challenges I think we face as mothers. And most importantly, I wanted people to see I feel empowered. I'm proud of where I am. I fought hard to be where I am as a woman. I get to dictate where my life goes. I'm not beholden to anyone. And I did it as a writer. And so that's why I wanted this album to be written from scratch, to have that feeling.
I love that. Jewel, we're so happy to see your passion for raising mental health awareness. Can you tell us how your own journey paved the way for you to help others?
Yeah, I moved out when I was 15, and I knew statistically kids like me end up repeating the cycle. And I didn't want to be a statistic. I wanted to believe that happiness was for people like me too. But I didn't have money for traditional support systems like therapy. So I started to develop tools that started to help me create new habits. And when I got discovered, one of the first things I did was help form the Inspiring Children Foundation, where we take these behavioral tools that I developed. We worked with neuroscientists to show why they work, how they rewire the brain. And now we're one of the top in the country at helping kids with suicidal and anxiety. And again, it's without therapy. Not that I'm against therapy, not everybody has access. So I've been trying to find ways that could supplement therapy or even work with it. And in doing this, we realized 50% of the nation lives in what I call a mental health desert. They don't actually even have access to any mental health tools, any mental health resources. So that's why we started the hashtag Not Alone Challenge.
So speaking of those tools, Jewel, by the way, you are a Jewel. It's lovely hearing from you. Where can our viewers find mental health tools to feel less alone, especially during the holidays, which, to be honest, are really, really hard for a lot of people?
Yeah, we started the hashtag Not Alone Challenge so that we could save lives over the holidays, reminding people they're not alone, but more importantly, not just reminding them they're not alone, but offering free mental health tools. For people to find those tools, they can go to notalonechallenge.org. We're also auctioning off amazing items from actors, CEOs, musicians, athletes, and people can go on there and bid on those auctions, and all the money raises to go toward creating scalable digital mental health tools so that these people in these mental health deserts can finally get help.
Jewel, thank you so much. To our viewers, you can find more information on the Not Alone Challenge in Jewel's Instagram bio @Jewel, and use the hashtag Not Alone Challenge to share your own mental health struggles and successes. And of course, you can listen to Freewheelin' Woman out now. Thank you so much, Jewel. We'll be right back.
The holiday season is upon us as the spread of COVID, the flu, and RSV threaten our holiday gatherings. So is it too late to get all of your shots before you celebrate with family? Let's verify. Our sources are Dr. Ashley Hennings of the University of Georgia's College of Pharmacy and Dr. Ilan Shapiro, Medical Affairs Officer of Ultimate Health Services. There's protection from COVID-19, and there's the best protection from COVID-19. According to the Centers for Disease Control, you're still considered fully vaccinated even if you haven't received the updated COVID booster. But the best protection, according to the CDC, comes when you get each available shot when you're eligible. Depending on the type of shot you get, it could take a week before you have some protection from COVID, and longer than that before you're fully protected.
Usually for our body, it takes 2 weeks to have that immune system response where they understand how to protect yourself against these variants and against COVID-19.
The updated COVID booster protects against the original version as well as the Omicron variant and its subvariants. Dr. Hanning says it takes the same 2 weeks to get full immunity with the flu vaccine.
There's still time to get it before the holidays and before traveling, if you go ahead and jump on it. There's just a good chance right now that you will encounter one or more of these viruses. So I think it's a good idea to do everything that you can to protect yourself.
So we can verify there is still time before your holiday gatherings to get up to date on COVID and flu shots and have at least partial protection, with full protection coming after about 2 weeks. But medical experts say the clock is ticking, so don't delay.
Unless you happen to have a workshop of elves helping you complete your holiday gift list, you're probably heading online to do at least some of your shopping, and with that, a chance of flurries of texts and emails about your order from shippers, from stores, and from scammers. So how can you tell if one of these messages is legit, and what do you do if it's not? Let's verify. We turn to several sources to learn more about these so-called phishing messages, which the Federal Trade Commission defines as a type of online scam targeting consumers by pretending to be from a well-known source, like a shipping company or retailer, then asking the consumer for personal information.
You see that and you think to yourself, oh my God, I've got to make sure everything's okay with the account.
Even in the frenzy of the season, do not click the link before you stop and think. If you get an alert about a package delivery issue, are you even waiting on a package from that company? Is the message threatening or urgent? Does the link look jumbled and random? Are you asked to enter a password, address, credit card number? Even if a message seems okay, our sources say the best idea is to go straight to the store or shipping company.
Go to the retailer's website, enter your account information, and see what's going on with that package.
If you are caught in a phishing scam, identitytheft.gov is an FTC website that will walk you through next steps. Bottom line, as you make your way through your shopping list, when you get a link, check it twice. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
We've got some amazing products from our friends at MorningSave. Please check them out. What do you have for us today, Steph?
Before we get started into all the fun stuff, I need you guys to know that because of shipping and post, they are not guaranteed to arrive in time for Christmas. Let's get started. First up, we have got the Eufy Home Vac S11 Light Cordless Stick Vacuum Cleaner. And this vacuum is cordless. Ooh. And guess what, Tori? It weighs just 3.5 pounds. Normally, unsurprisingly, it's $199, but we've got it for just $99.99, which is saving up to 50%. And now our next product, Tori, is the Express USA Multifunction 6-in-1 Collapsible Cutting Board. There is a grater, there's a grinder, a strainer, or you can use it as a storage basket.
Wow.
So normally these are $50.
Ooh, I don't like that.
But we've got it for $14.99, so that saves 70%.
Wow.
Now this next one, Tori, is right up our alley. It is the Westinghouse LED Light Therapy Mask.
Oh yeah.
This mask will stimulate collagen production, it reduces signs of aging, and balances skin tone.
Nice.
So normally this is $90, ooh, but we've got it for just $29.99, saving up to 67%. Our last product is a lifesaver if you've got stiff and sore muscles. It's the Vibe X Deep Tissue Percussion Massager. So this deal includes one massager with 7 interchangeable heads and a travel case. So normally it's $135, but right now it's just $49.99, which is saving everyone 63%.
That is so smart. I love that price. I love all the prices. Head on over, y'all, to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can just scan that QR code right on screen. It'll take you directly to these products on MorningSave's website. Again, one more reminder that these items are not guaranteed for Christmas arrival. Thank you so much, Steph. Someone wrote in and said we look like jam tarts.
Oh yeah,
like the
these
red
colors
and the
actually
yellow.
blend.
Yeah,
it's not like bright red and bright yellow.
Yeah.
It's
It's like more of a Thanksgiving. I don't know what jam tarts
You
are.
kind of ruined that.
No
All right,
one
we'll
knows
see
what
you
jam
same
tarts are.
time. I do. Bye. Jam tart.